I hope you're here for the smoke. I'm going to tell you every single rapper Drake dissed on his new album ICEMAN, but before I do it, please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and most of all, press the hype button if you're watching on mobile. Are you ready? Because I am. Let's get into it. We'll open this video up with Drake's second biggest op. I know you think Kendrick Lamar is Drake's biggest #1 enemy, but he's not, and I'll explain that as we get towards the end of the video. And I chose this picture in particular, and I'm about to explain why. Let's listen.
Cut, just loading rebuttals, and I got a bunch of hits on my hands, see the swollen knuckles.
I got a bunch of hits on my hand, you see the swollen knuckles. Now that's in the intro. This is going to set the stage for everything you are going to hear throughout the album. He's talking directly to Kendrick Lamar in a lot of these songs, but it's not just Kendrick, it's a lot of artists. And these one lines are things you need to pay attention to. If you're someone who said, I don't want to hear Drake dissing, he sued, I don't want to hear Drake talking about the battle, then this isn't for you. An artist is going to talk about the things that they went through. An artist is going to talk about the things that are on their mind and their heart. And art is about life. So that's what you're going to get. Now let's get to the direct shots.
For real. Fuck a big three anyway, there was too many chefs in the kitchen.
Well, thank you for saying it. There's no need to talk about the big three anymore. Like you said, there's too many chefs in the kitchen. If you see yourself as the best, that's the way it should be. All of that friendly stuff is gone out the window. Now, Kendrick said it first, but I'm happy you're following suit.
It was a mess to begin with. Yeah. And now they got a new goal and we gotta test the position.
So now if y'all are going to call Kendrick the GOAT, now we're going to hold him to GOAT standards. This is what he's telling you. And what is one of those standards?
Damn, who is this guy for real? I guess a magician. 100 million streams vanish. No one got questions for niggas.
So if he's the GOAT, why did 100 million streams disappear and why is no one asking the question? Not in any of those Super Bowl interviews, not in anything after that. No one will ask the artist directly, where did the stream go and why did it happen? It's not me asking these questions. The boy is asking, and not only him, there are many other people who do wonder, but it seems like no one is big enough or no one is demanding answers. Now these jabs and bars will continue. We're gonna move on to a track called Whisper My Name.
I forgot my white label had to go white label shit when he stepped out his body and finally got hot.
This is why you gotta listen to the jabs. My white label had to go white label when he stepped out his body and finally got hot. Now this is alluding to what happened in 2024 with Not Like Us. The label Interscope and UMG allowed reactors to use the content without the copyright strikes. So he's saying you started to get a little buzz, or they knew you were about to get buzzed by dissing me, and they gave you an advantage that they don't typically give to artists. It has been done 1 or 2 times before, but never at the scale that Kendrick Lamar did it. Now, if you remember what happened last night, reactors were able to go live and react to episode 4 without a problem. This only happened because Drake brought it up in the lawsuit, because if they didn't allow him to do it this time, it would have been an issue that I'm sure his lawyers would have talked about. Now we're going to get back to the lawsuit, but this is what you got to pay attention to, the subtle disses. Now let's turn the heat up a little bit. This might be my favorite and most impactful shot that he sends to Kendrick. This is on a track entitled Janice.
White kids listen to you because they feel some guilt, and that's how your soul gets fulfilled.
That was nasty. White kids listen to you because they feel guilt, and that's how your soul gets fulfilled. What does he mean by that?
And it's probably A minor. They not like us. They not.
You figure it out.
Handing out turkeys on camera inside of your hood, then you go back to the hills.
Now, this is a theme Drake played on during the beef. Remember where he talked about you don't even go back to your hood and plant no money trees. So he's saying you give these turkeys out and then you go back to your home in the hidden hills. So I think what Drake is basically alluding to here is he spends more time entrenched in the culture of Toronto than Kendrick does in the culture of Compton. Now, you have to decide how you weigh that out and how you feel about that. But this is a point that Drake has been hitting home at. But do you think there's any truth to it?
Difference between niggas getting you out of your deal and letting you out of your deal.
I like this song so much. I wish he would have put this out in 2024 because I think he's delivering a lot of the messages better. Now, this is again something he talked about on Push-Ups, on Family Matters, is the deal that Kendrick had. Now, if you remember, I think it took him, maybe 4 years to put out a project after he left TDE. So what Drake is saying, there's a difference between getting out of your deal and someone letting you out of your deal. So what Drake is playing at, and we'll talk about this in a bunch of other videos, is how he's planning to get out of his deal with UMG versus how Kendrick had to be let go from TDE. And basically what he's saying is there was some friendly extortion there. Again, We can't confirm it unless somebody presents cold hard evidence, but it sounds good on wax. Now, this has nothing to do with music. This is just Drake mocking Kendrick. Now, again, we could be lighthearted about some of this stuff. So basically what he's saying is Kendrick is scaring the women. He's scaring the women. That's what he's telling you. Now, what this is referencing here is Rich Spirit. Now, you can see Kendrick dancing in a manner, right? Look at him moving around, and Drake is just poking fun at him. Again, as much as this is quite serious, Drake does have fun with it, and Kendrick has fun with it as well. So this was a good laugh in the middle of episode 4. Now, I might have saved the best song for last. I mean, this was an absolute bop. You should already know what song this is.
I'm gonna show you what to do, little boy. Hey, I'm gonna show you what.
Now, listen, of course, the short jokes, but it's not just about the short joke. It's also about the song and the type of song. So this is a Bay Area beat. I'm going to get into the beat and kind of the history about it in a second, but Kendrick made the West Coast bop, right? Not Like Us had the Bay Area sound as well as that California sound. So what does Drake do? I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to show you how to do it, little boy. But enough of Kendrick Lamar. We covered him. There's more disses, but I think I hit the most impactful ones. But now we got to talk about a rapper that he dissed that I told you he had issues with a very, very long time ago. I said these two have problems. People were in my comments saying, no, they don't. Did you listen to Port Antonio? No, they don't. They spoke. I told you, and Maul has been given information about this for a while, but no one gave him credit. But Drake said some very direct shots his way, and they're subtle shots. They're not we're at war shots, but they're like, you know where you stand and you know where I stand kind of shots. It's just drawing a clear line in the sand.
Me, I stood 10 T's and accepted the mission. Cause I much rather death than submission.
Now, who else is he talking to? He says, I stood 10 toes down because I would rather death than submission. So instead of me ever going on stage to apologize to somebody, I would rather take an L. I would take the W. I would fight until the death rather than apologize on that stage.
How can you press the ignition and let some memories of the past affect your decision?
How can you press the ignition and then let memories of the past affect your decision? So you started it. You started 7 Minute Drill. It was you. And then you back out of the whole thing because you had memories of what you and Kendrick Lamar used to be. Drake is not feeling that at all. And I think most of the people in the hip hop space weren't.
I love you cause of the history, but if we being real, I can never forget you. And you never called me back, but destiny's written.
So I still love you, but I will never forgive you for that moment. People want to talk about how much each one of these guys should move on, but the fact is this was a life-altering battle or lack thereof on some of their parts. So it's not something you could get over. This changed their relationships, their friendships, their business forever. They will continue to feel the effects of it. And the other part of it is, he said, you never called me back. Let's watch this clip.
On this album, he better address why he did what he did.
Okay.
He better address why he did what he did.
Did a bit on Port. Even if you disagree with what he said, he did.
On this album, he better explain why he did what he did. He better explain why he had that conversation with Kendrick.
Okay.
And then never spoke to Drake after that again in his life. He has to explain that.
I'm with you.
He has to explain that. That's nasty. I fuck with Cole. Cole can rap his ass off. Put it in bars on why you did what you did to Drake, bro. Don't give me all of this young Simba and this nigga and that. No. Tell the world why you had that conversation with Kendrick before that whole back and forth with him and Drake, and why you came off that tour with Drake, and after Drake gave you your first #1, and then you never spoke to Drake again.
But who's next on the list? Which one am I so-called? I think now we can talk about Pusha T, a longtime enemy of Drake. And while we're on the subject of Pusha T, let's just bring Pharrell into it too.
I got all the chains that they ever repped in Virginia.
Drake loves those chains and talking about them. I mean, not even in this song, in other songs, Omerta, one of my other favorite Drake songs, he says, I would buy your most prized possessions when they're up for auction. And that's exactly what he did. And he's referencing Pharrell and Pusha T here, both from Virginia. And they always had those Neptune chains and all the chains that Pharrell had. And Drake bought them, right? He gets possessive on people. And this is kind of his get back, but also how he has this, like, basically a hip hop museum in his house. You know, Drake gets a little bit more petty than that. He references Pusha T's name being in the Epstein files.
I was really hopping back then, Now your names got redacted. Yeah, now a nigga got a fact check.
And not only is he dissing, saying y'all were island hopping back then, now your name's all redacted, he's saying, oh, now we got a fact check? But when somebody said something crazy about me, people deemed me guilty and called me all kind of crazy names. So it's not just the jab at Push, it's also the vindication of himself. We can move on from Pusha T, and now we got to get to ASAP Rocky. Now, I don't know what's going on with Drake, Rocky, and Rihanna, but Drake and Rihanna must have been locked in something serious, because this one will not die. He gave Rocky a whole song. We'll listen to two particular parts.
Now you drop your album and you back this. Your baby mama ain't even post a single.
So Rocky dropped his album and he was back dissing. He dissed on Future's project. Drake dissed him back, so all fair game. But then he says your baby moms ain't even post your single. Now a lot of people are saying this might not be about Rocky. Some people said it's Jay. I don't think this is Jay at all. There's a lot of rumors about who it could be. Some people said Kendrick. So it could be any of them, but I'm just going to put it in the Rocky/Kendrick category. But again, I don't think Rocky lyrically or musically is on Drake's level. Leave Rocky alone. Well, I'm from Harlem, so I'm biased. Leave Rocky alone, man. Y'all got to get over that. Now let's talk about Rick Ross. Rick Ross has been reaching for attention for the past, I don't know how long. And Drake gave him the attention he was looking for with some subtle bars with some great wordplay.
I was Aiden Ross with streams before Aiden Ross had ever streamed.
Dog, I was Aiden Ross with streams before Aiden Ross had even streamed. Now, if you don't know, Rick Ross's 3 highest charting songs on the Billboard Hot 100, guess what they have in common? Yeah, you guessed it. They all have Drake on them. And look at the wordplay there. Aiden Ross, who is one of Drake's good friends now, just amazing wordplay. But it wasn't just rappers who got that work. He talked to some producers as well. Let's start with DJ Khaled.
Khaled, you know what I mean. The beef was fully live. You went halal and got on your dean.
So why so much smoke for Khaled? 2 reasons. Number 1, during the whole beef, Khaled was silent. And then once things died down, he comes out saying, I got 2 Drake singles on the album. And Drake said, it must be Drake Bell because it's not me. Now, when Drake was red hot on fire, Khaled always went to him and Drake would give him verses or singles for his project. And that benefited Khaled greatly. Number 1, the labels open up the budget when you have a Drake single because they know the album is going to sell. They're going to prioritize it. They're going to help you market. And what is one thing that Khaled is known for and that he's great at? It's the marketing. And Drake is a big reason why that ever happened. But now you want to come back around? It doesn't work like that. Drake is cutting him completely off. But it's not just about the business. There's a very personal and political aspect that Drake is about to talk about.
And your people are still waiting for a free Palestine. But apparently everything is in black and white and red and green.
Now, when Drake takes the personal shot, he takes the personal shot. And I know this hurts. Now, if you don't know, Khaled is Palestinian. I think he was born in Palestine. But during this whole Israeli and Palestinian conflict, he hasn't said a word. In fact, when he was asked about it, this is what he said.
Free Palestine. Say it one more time. Free Palestine. They should love everybody.
Now, before you say anything, oh, Drake didn't say anything. Drake is one of the few rappers, maybe the only rapper that signed the ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. So he has spoken out about it. And some of Drake's closest confidants are Muslim and come from the Middle East region. When you think about Oliver, when you think about 40. So he identifies closely with the issue, and Drake is Jewish himself. But that shot at Khaled, I know, probably hurt him deep down inside. And then the bars afterwards, I guess everything is in black, white, red, and green. Basically saying, are you scared to say something because it could mess up your money or your opportunities? That's tough. Now, last but not least, and I saved him for last because I don't put him in the current rapper category. We're going to talk about Jay-Z because there were some bars that were directed at him, but I'm going to explain my perspective on them.
Take 500K, not a dinner. I never could learn shit from none of y'all.
So if you don't know what he's talking to, he's referring to the meme, 500K or dinner with Jay-Z. He says, give me the cash because I can't learn nothing from none of y'all. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this relationship. I think, yeah, he's talking to Hov, but they've been talking to each other on tracks that they've done separately, on the same beats they've rapped on, and on tracks they've done together. They've gone back and forth. But I think the relationship is Drake doesn't want to be seen as Lil Bro anymore. And I think Hov is at the point where he's like, I'm Hov. Like, that's what he said in the interview. Why would I care about doing something to Drake if I'm Hov? Now, of course, there's a Super Bowl angle. Jay-Z picked Kendrick Lamar. We know what the Kendrick Lamar song was. People are talking about things that happened behind the scenes of Roc Nation and UMG and OVO and the press and the tabloids and the narratives. But I think this is 2 men. And Drake feels like, stop looking at me like I'm not your equal. I'm your equal now when it comes to power and longevity. And he's saying I'm also your equal when it comes to money. There's nothing more for me to learn. But if you look at Jay's verse on Light Up, If Drake would have followed that advice, I think he would have done a lot better in 2024, right? He said, here's how they're going to come at you with silly rap feuds, trying to distract you. And that's exactly what happened. Now, the final person who Drake takes shots at is not a person, it's the entity of UMG, the label. There's a lot of shots at the label, and we'll start with this one because this references the lawsuit specifically.
Fighting a man, not suing a rapper, you boys not listening.
I'm fighting the man, not suing a rapper. You boys are not listening. I've said this for the millionth time. This whole lawsuit is not about Kendrick Lamar. It is about what the label did during the battle. And Drake is using this to get out of the contract and potentially get a huge financial win and sign or partner with maybe private equity. This is another video I'll do this weekend. That's the whole point. The label just gave him the biggest reason in the world to get out of the contract. That's where they made the mistake. So everybody keeps positioning this as Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. This is his top op, and I understand why. But if you just take 10 seconds to critically think, it will be clear, abundantly clear, this is all about the label. Now remember, he has a track, Shut Up Janet. It's about him taking shots at other people, about his deal, about his position in the industry. This is all a shot at the label. They're getting literally a track named after them. And the finale of all this, the finale of the episode was one big middle finger to the label and all the games that they played in this whole battle. It's the way that people have had to operate in the game. And the final diss is this last image. 3 hard drives, 3 albums for the label. And this is essentially saying, take the last bit of work I owe you and I'm out of here. I know a lot of people, even myself, thought Drake only owed 1 album, but this is what happens. And this is what I think was going on. And I'm going to talk about this at length in another video, is that all this time, I think his lawyers have been working on reading the fine print of the deal and seeing how he could get himself out of it. Now, I will give a full business breakdown, but that is it for now. Let me know what you think about the breakdown of these disses and who he's been talking to. Let me know if I missed anything. Put it in the comments below. What do you think of ICEMAN, the album? There are 2 other projects that we're going to get to, but we just focus on ICEMAN today. What do you think? Leave your reviews, leave your comments, leave your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, and definitely hit the hype button. There's so much more to break down about the whole rollout, about the album, about the business, about how much money I think he's going to make and how much he fronted to get this whole project and rollout going, because it was definitely a lot. I go by the name J Roebuck, and on this channel, we don't just talk about music, we talk about the business of music. And until next time, salute.